You probably clicked on this video for one of two reasons. Either one, you saw the title and you thought, what the hell is mental gender and how is this going to help me? This guy's probably crazy. Or two, your thoughts and your decisions have led you through a series of causes and changes and variables to somehow get you to see this video and click on it. Now, you're probably in the space of trying to understand, searching the inner knowledge, and that's a good step. You're on the right path. You're looking into the internal world in order, the cause, to change the effects and the circumstances of your life. You're here to make unconscious things of everyday life turn into conscious behaviors so that you can control dependably and predictably the outcomes. And people love to call it manifesting, which is kind of just a word that I kind of don't like to use anymore. But anyways, the first part of this video is going to be a metaphysical decomposition, and it's going to be showing you to understand down to the very atom of how these principles manifest or show themselves and express themselves down at the very micro level of an atom, all the way to the macrocosm of galaxies in the universe, so you can scientifically understand it, and then it'll kind of come full circle and directly apply to you and your inner psyche. Mental gender and manifestation. So now when you hear the word gender through society and through your subconscious programming, what you are instinctively going to go to and what you're going to think and associate gender with is almost always going to be your sex, your organic life, right? Because it's so used to us, and that's how the term is used in society. Your gender is your sex, what you're assigned at birth, right? And this isn't one of those types of videos, right? But what you need to understand is gender, like many other laws of the universe, is that it is exactly that. Undeniable law of the universe, fundamentally, that whether you're conscious or unconscious of it is controlling and dictating you at this very second of existence. So what we need to shy away from is this whole idea. We need to throw away the idea that, gender has more than one definition, and gender in this whole entire video, gender does not equal sex. Okay, and what the Kybalion teaches us is that gender is in all forms of existence and has either the masculine or feminine. Now these are going to be our two important things to remember in this video, because masculine or feminine can be substituted for so many other things, but we just like to categorize as masculine and feminine for the sake of gender, right? But as we get deeper into this video, you're going to understand that masculine, feminine is also just another two terms that society uses to define a certain particular arrangement of things that we do and social norms for men and females in organic life, right? But masculine or feminine can also be the objective and the subjective mind, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. It can be positive and negative in the atoms that we're about to discuss, right? So we must transcend this belief. We must expand our view of gender just being, oh, well, do you have a penis or a vagina? It's much deeper than that. So what's the correct definition of gender? Well, gender is simply stating, gender's definition is to procreate, to generate, create, to produce, etc., right? So when a certain impulse from the masculine, the will, the commander of the ship, is giving orders, right? And you think about this in your own psyche, your conscious mind is always giving your subconscious impressions and demands, right? That masculine energy. And again, don't think masculine as this James Bond type of man. Yes, that's a different definition, but we're talking strictly in generative force and impressing something and impregnating something beyond the physical plane, in the mental womb or in the spiritual womb, right? And then the feminine energy is supposed to nurture and give form, most importantly, to give to give life to these thoughts, to these ideas, to these feelings, to these mental images that we constantly run through our heads that we aren't really aware of, right? So think of it as the conscious mind, or the male or the masculine energy is directing, his command is the head of the ship, right? And then the crew is the subconscious, is the feminine, and they take orders and they carry out the orders no matter what it is. This is why we must be very careful with our inner speech and the thoughts we choose to entertain, because they will and always do produce an experience or something that you experience physically, because you are commanding that subconscious, which, remember, is impersonal and non-selective and just takes orders. It is a servant, it is a slave, right? And so we must learn to use our thoughts constructively with the masculine will to give the right ideas, the right thoughts, and the right goal slides into our psyche to generate to our subconscious, which then gives form to these things to manifest. Now, like I said, at the very basic level, fundamentally at the atom, at the very atom of this floor right now, there is an active, we understand scientifically that there is positive and there is negative charges to things. So what we must understand is that the positively charged electrons are going to be responsible for exerting a certain influence or command and energy, metaphysically, to these negatively charged ions. And what happens is that once the positive meets up with the negative, because remember, this is just the laws of the universe, it's just how it works, they're always going to meet up together, and then the job of the negative is simply the womb. It's to nurture and to give that thing its form, which it intrinsically wants to do. We don't really fully understand this, but it's just the way that we are able to, scientists looking and trying to make sense of it. So this is more, I'm not a scientist, but this is more just for the basic understanding, as it will help us understand later in the video these more complex things. So the positive corpuscles exert a certain influence, which then generates an atom. So like we just said, the masculine, you think of the masculine as the positively charged and the feminine as the negatively charged. Okay, still scientifically speaking though, the negative pole is the one where the generation or production of new forms and energies take place. That is its sole job. The feminine, like the male, like the masculine, is seeking union with the masculine counterpart by natural impulse, like we said, to create new energy. And once they're united and created, these two generative forces are able to manifest and show us particular results in light, in heat, in electricity, in magnetism, attraction, repulsion, chemical reactions. All of these things we can trace back to the negative and the positive seeking union to generate a new energy. Now, one of the key ideas I want you to take away from this video is actually that you've probably been in this self-help space, or you've read a lot of these new thought books with these genius writers, and all of these writers kind of point to the same thing. They might call it different things, but they're trying to express the same concept, which is duality of mind. Okay, you've heard of the objective and subjective, the conscious and the subconscious, the voluntary and the involuntary, the active and the passive, whatever it's called, but the principle is always the same, underlying that there are two aspects of mind, right? And these writers are not wrong, and they are right, except we want to take it a layer deeper and understand that really consciousness is supposed to be one. Your two hemispheres of your brain are supposed to be harmonious and in sync, and it is a problem that it is not, because once again, if your conscious mind cannot give the right energy to the subconscious mind, then you will always be creating and nurturing and impregnating that subconscious mind with thoughts of unhappiness, with disease, with the worst case scenario, if you do not learn how to control your thoughts. Because any and every thought persisted in, with not just when you feel good for 10 minutes and then the rest of your day you go back to feeling the predominant mental state of failure, but if you persist in these feelings with emotion, they have to be expressed in some form of your reality. You will experience it, right? And so the problem is that most of the time, most people are just generally unaware, okay? They aren't aware that these thoughts going on in their mind, that they're entertaining, that they're choosing to, they don't even understand that they have the power to control and derive exactly what they want. And the second problem is that we're going to get to is that the masculine from other people, okay, not your own conscious mind, not your own masculine principle, but from other people is stronger than yours, okay? From your parents, from society, from school, from huge influencers. Their will, their masculine energy, principally, is going to impregnate your subconscious mind, your feminine, and then those thoughts and those ideas from someone else or something else is going to manifest into your subconscious mind, and you are going to nurture those thoughts and give form to those thoughts, and it will be expressed. So what I need you to understand is anytime you're reading any of these self-help books, anytime you're reading any of these books, when you hear objective, subjective, conscious, subconscious, voluntary, involuntary, active, passive, whatever it is, make sure you understand that the objective, the conscious, the voluntary, the active, those are all the masculine, okay, the positive, right? And the negative is the opposite. The negative is the subconscious, is the subjective, the involuntary, right? And so whenever you entertain thoughts or feelings, so just keep this in mind whenever you are reading these books, is that what they are really speaking about is all of these things is broken down into the positive and the negative poles, which is also a concept of polarity. Because remember that everything is actually one. Consciousness is actually one. There is no subconscious and conscious. It is actually one, but for the sake of our existence, it appears as two polarities, two polar opposites. But whenever you're reading these books, keep this in mind. Okay. At this point, it would be important for me to note that the statement "I am," which you've probably heard before, the self-declaration of God, of existence, of consciousness itself, simply just "I am," because remember, whatever you attach after "I am" becomes your identity and who you are. So the "I am" can actually be separated though. Like we said, it can be divided into the masculine and the feminine, the positive and the negative. So what you must understand, separated into the I and the me, okay? The I is the masculine principle. The I is responsible for the will. Okay, so understanding that the statement "I am" can be broken down and separated into the positive and the negative, the masculine and the feminine, the conscious, the subconscious, whatever you want to call it. When we think about your very existence, just the statement "I am that I am, I think therefore I am," right? And if we break this down, we can understand that the I is responsible for being. That is the active being. I am doing this. The I is the part of you that is actively being what you say you are. And the me is a certain collection of all these different ideas that go into the ego, not your spirit, but your personal body. The me is everything that you like, that you dislike, your certain tastes, your certain characteristics, your personality. All of these things add up together into this idea of me. This is who I am to the outward appearance of the world, right? The me is the part, the ego that you express to other people, and your reputation and your outward appearance, really. So that now the most important thing that you must understand about the difference is that the masculine, the positive, like we said with the atoms, is the I, is the will, right? This is very important. We must. Woo. So break it down basically, think about it like this. The will, the I, the being, not the becoming, but the being, is the part of you that is willing. You have to have active willpower. If your subconscious, your feminine aspect, right, of this gender is constantly bombarded by all these different ideas and the programming and these emotional traumatic events that you've had that are just controlling 90% of your daily actions and you're not aware, you must have some sort of willpower to generate new ideas, new concepts, new thoughts, new mental images to run through your head, to pass over to that subconscious mind, to the feminine aspect, to nurture, grow, and express the certain particular conditions that you wish to experience or manifest, right? So, we know that the me needs that certain energy from the positive, as we discussed with the atom. So, your job is to simply align all of your thoughts and all of the mental images in your imagination and control it and condense it in a way that you are only reflecting that which your desired reality would reflect or prove, okay? And another important aspect of this with beginners, because it can be very hard, is understanding that you must deny all your five senses. Okay, why is this important? Now, am I saying to just be a monk and close your eyes and never talk to anyone or do anything? No, that would be Gnostic and that would be against the you could do that, but I would rather be aware of this and just play the game anyways, right? So the five senses, right? What we can immediately see and what is present with our vision, with our taste, you know about the five senses. So why is it important to deny them? I'm not saying deny them 100% of the time. I'm saying if anything in your particular reality goes wrong, or something is bad or reflects something indicating that your manifestations aren't working, right? You have to have the ability that when things go wrong, because it's never going to go perfectly right, you have to sort of shut out the five senses and deny anything that doesn't reflect your desired reality. It would be very wise to instead analyze it, ask yourself, how did this become? How did I materialize this with the thoughts that I chose to entertain? And simply trace it back to its origin and then deny and shut out all of the five senses. You could be in a mud hut in the middle of nowhere, but as long as you have faith in the things invisible, not just the five senses, you have the power to transcend above it and bring them into light. Now here is the biggest problem that you are going to encounter when understanding mental gender and how to use it, right? Now we've covered the basics of what gender is on this definition of the esoteric definition, right? Now, why is this not so easy? Why did you not know this before? It seems pretty easy. Yeah, okay, change my thoughts and it'll impress my subconscious, but it's not as easy as you think if that's your belief, all right? Fix your belief and tell yourself it's easy and you'll experience it as so, but you need to understand the underlying bottleneck or issue. So the biggest issue is going to be, like we said earlier, is that your feminine aspect, or your masculine aspect, your positive, your consciousness is not strong enough. It is weak. Many people, 99% of men nowadays, do not have the strength to generate their own ideas, to create their own ideals, to be what they actually want to be righteous. And so what happens is these people just watch media, they consume a lot of external stimuli that is going to go right into their brain, and without permission is going to instantly go to their subconscious. So now their subconscious, their feminine aspect, is only being fed and nurtured with that energy of external things that have nothing to do with self-conceived ideas, which means that you are just going to conform and be an imitator. You're going to be like the sheep, and you're going to follow the trend of what every single other person is doing. This might be college, this might be the job, this might be whatever your parents did growing up, right? It's very important that you are able to give birth to Christ within yourself, so to speak, of your truly your own conceptions, your own ideas, and your own thoughts. If you cannot think for yourself and are always going to external things, I don't even want you to watch this video and take literally everything I'm saying. That is the last thing I want. I don't want anyone on this YouTube channel to look at my videos and take absolutely everything I say as absolute truth and copy them. That is actually not what I want. My aim is that you are able to pick certain things and filter it through your own masculine, your positively charged, your consciousness, and filter out what is applicable for your situation and through your own mental module. It's very dangerous when you are not able to think for yourself. And so the fix is that rather than listening and looking for external stimuli all of the time, you must be, well, if we were to break everything down to the simplest degree and to one core message, I would want it to be to spend more time in the internal realm than the world of things, the material world, the physical world, right? And really sit with yourself, and not what you saw on social media, not what you saw on, what your family wants or what other people and other impressions, society as a whole wants you to do or to be as yourself. But instead, spend more time in the internal realm, get to know thyself, and thou shalt know all. So the goal is to have a harmonious relationship between the conscious, the subconscious, the masculine, the feminine. The problem is that most, not men, but most people are polarized in their feminine aspect. And this doesn't mean, oh, this dude's girly and, like we said, it has nothing to do with roles and that organic life gender. But we are saying that in the sense that people just generally don't trust themselves or their own ideas and don't have enough willpower from their own masculine part of their brain, so they're just receiving external stimuli and letting that impregnate their subconscious and nurture and express that in their own lives, and they're living their lives out according to other people's very powerful masculine energy. So to be a true master, you must master your art of concentration and brutal focus and eliminating everything else, filtering out your reality to that anything that doesn't match your desired reality is gone, it is out of the window, it is simply forgotten about, right? And if anyone is trying to be negative, that's all external things. They're not going to get to you, to your internal soul, to your spirit, right? You are going to do it because you will to do it. You will to do it, and you are actively becoming, and you are being, with the becoming as the feminine and being as the masculine, right? We must concentrate on the goal slide, concentrate on the mental pictures that go through our heads, and simply using their will. If you think you're disciplined because you go to the gym, you're wrong. True discipline is being able to literally control all of your thoughts, all the mental pictures, all of your imagination, your daydreaming, and choosing which thoughts are helpful and useful and then utilizing them. That is true discipline, because otherwise you are going to be ruled and you are going to be a sheep and imitate all these other people because you're not employing your own self-conception. And honestly, if you're struggling with this a lot, you need to just hop off of social media. I don't care if your business relies on social media. I literally do not go on social media besides when I post. So get off of all the external stuff and spend more time in the internal realm than the outer realm. Don't need to be a weirdo, but take 15 minutes twice or 3 times a day to really get into that deep trance-like state and use your concentration and your focus. All right, so let's just wrap it up with a cute little bow for the end of this video, and let's wrap it all together, okay? So, as we said with the dual mind theory that, I gave you tons of different examples that all these books are talking about. And again, the effect and cause. So subconscious is a realm of cause, which is your subconscious mind, which is your connection to the infinite, your spirit realm, your connection to literally everything, to God, okay? And then the conscious is the realm of effect. What is being experienced through just life, whatever you are actively experiencing in life is manifested through the cause, which is your thoughts, and the subconscious, which you've been programming. So it's almost like you have a bug. You have a bug with negative self-doubt from the devil. You have all of these negative feelings and emotions. Maybe you have some trauma, but that is why you are experiencing what you're experiencing and why you feel stuck. So to change the effect, which is the things in your life that you do not like, aspects that you do not like in your situation, you must look at the cause first. Oh, monkey. As we discussed earlier, the conscious generates ideas and impresses these ideas onto the subconscious, right? It carries it on and impregnates the subconscious. Monty, seriously? So in order to simplify this for you, think about in your daily life, whatever you are thinking in your awakened day. Let's break it down to awake and sleep. Again, 2 dualities. But when you are awake and you are in your conscious mind, though the subconscious is still active because it's responsible for beating your heart and other things, breathing you don't think about, you are using your conscious mind and you have complete control. So every single day, when you are having thoughts all day long, you get to choose those thoughts. Most people don't understand this, but it takes some time to mentally declare these things, to declare what it is that you want. And from these things come ideas, all right? And so our ideas are then passed over to the subconscious mind during sleep, which is, remember, the mental womb, if you want to think of it that way. Starts with an idea or a thought, goes into the womb of the subconscious, and the subconscious's job is to carry out the orders. Going back to the ship analogy, the captain gives the orders in your day while you're awake and you're thinking, right? And then in your sleep, your subconscious is going to nurture and give life and form to all these things that will later be expressed in the conscious, in the physical world, okay? It's a never-ending cycle that you cannot escape, that you are unaware of, which needs to be corrected. Through your power to imagine and feel, and freedom to choose which ideas you will entertain every day, you have complete control over creation itself. Control of the subconscious mind is simply through the control of what you choose to consciously think about and entertain these ideas and fantasize and use your imagination for, and constructive. So if we want to be our righteous self, we must only think of the lovely, of the best, of the highest, of the noblest thoughts, and to immediately discard any of the devilish, bad, negative, self-doubt, fear. Once you fully understand that the only thing in your way is the devil, which is just fear, devil's a word for fear, any sort of fear that you have besides a fucking bear chasing you is the devil. And once you can understand that, and you are good enough to understand, like this is just a trick and it's the devil trying to get me, you will have ultimate control, because you'll immediately just discard it and choose to switch to that polarity, to that other energetic opposite of the immediate opposite in the best case scenario and the best thought, best ideas instead. So if you have this problem and you cannot control your emotional or your mental attitude throughout the day in your conscious realm, you are easily and just unaware that you are impressing or impregnating the subconscious mind with undesirable states. And what happens when you do this over a long enough period of time? Well, then you have undesirable conditions, and whatever it is that you are seeking to get rid of or to manifest is not going to work, because you are thinking one thing, or maybe trying, but you are constantly filling and feeling and resonating with the exact opposite. This was a fun one. I hope that you guys learned a lot of valuable information, and we'll be doing more videos like this style format. Leave me a comment down below if you like this format. But anyways, I hope that this was very helpful information, and now you are able to take this, which you were unaware of before the beginning of the video, and now you are aware of it and you can implement it. And remember, it takes practice. Don't just watch my video, get hyped for 10 minutes, and then fall back immediately to that predominant state, which is blocking you, right? Conscious and subconscious, let's get it.